Hey, everybody! Welcome to Tavern Talk.
Hey!
Oh,
D&D.
And there's a Trevor head. Just
yeah,
a
he's
Trevor
in my
head.
lap.
Trevor ears.
This is the show where we sit around and talk about D&D and specifically the Tavern Knights game that we're playing, which is we're playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and it is in the world of Greyhawk. I forgot to open my beer before we started.
I'll be right
Okay,
back.
it's a
I wanna go grab
glorious
something.
sound.
It really is. I actually, I was drinking. I had a root beer on my desk earlier, and it was just before my meeting with my boss earlier. And I almost just waited until we started the meeting. He went just because I knew that my mic would pick it up.
Yep.
But I'm like, you know, I've only been there a couple of weeks. I'm not going to joke around that much.
Well, you can always hold it up
yet.
and be like, "It's an A&W."
Well, we weren't on video at the time, but I could have gone to video, and yeah.
Yeah.
But so we played not last Friday, but the Friday before, and we'll be playing this coming Friday.
Very excited.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. I want to see how you guys are, what happens with you guys, because in the last show, you guys found the elevator that went back downstairs. Eventually, after wandering around the dungeons for almost a day, you found the secret door that led to the other chamber that had an elevator going down. You took the elevator down and wound up in a huge fight with a bunch of hobgoblins.
We sure
Yeah,
did.
which I still like to say, I think Hobgoblin is probably one of the most inappropriate names for a monster race and there's thousands of monsters in D&D. If you count all of the different going all the way back and you count all of the different supplements and the off market supplements and everything, there's probably hundreds if not thousands of monsters in D&D. That'd be interesting to see how many there really are. But I think Hobgoblin, it doesn't really do it justice of what they are, because goblins are little creatures that, you fight when you're at first level and you fight like a room full of them and whatever. Hobgoblins are much tougher, much more powerful, much stronger, much later, and I just think it's such a misnomer. They're not they're not goblinish to me. They're like more like orcs. They're more like bigger and bigger, hairier, meaner fucking orcs. Like I said, I think they're more like Uruk-hai in Lord of the Rings.
They're more like goblins than orcs. They're almost a cross between the two, because they're the size and strength of orcs, but they still have the goblin features.
Correct. Yes, I get that. They still have like a goblinoid face, and I feel like they need to be called something else,
But at the same time, there's plenty of instances in like actual biology where things are described inappropriately just because of basic shape or specific phenotype. Like a panda bear isn't genetically related whatsoever and is on a completely different evolutionary branch than bears. Same thing with koala bears. They're a marsupial. That's a whole separate sect. So, like, it happens. And also, according to the Googles...
What about drop bears?
Drop bears are terrifying.
You just need a cricket bat and keep
Yeah,
an eye
that's
on the
true.
sky. You're fine.
Yeah.
Cricket bat shit.
According to the Googles, Monster Manual contains statistics for over 300 monsters and miscellaneous creatures and NPCs for 5e.
Okay, you found that.
Trevor,
I found where they're saying there's 14 different monster types.
See, that's the thing, though. That's just saying the monster manual. That's not including,
Mordenkainen's
specifically
tome
5e.
and yeah,
right, and like all of the other like 5th edition stuff that's made by other companies, that's completely, on brand.
Not
Speaking
to
of
mention all the homebrew that is also on
Right.
D&D Beyond for 5th edition.
Exactly. So, speaking of 5th edition, I just picked or Stella picked this up for me this week.
Oh yes.
Nice.
Cool.
Divinity. Yeah. I've kind of glanced through it. I haven't really read through it a whole lot, but it's a typical, adventure book. Of course, it's set in the world of Critical Role, and it's the first full published adventure set in Critical Role. The previous two books were supplements, were like campaign supplements. They weren't an actual adventure. Although I think in the D&D, in the Call of the Wildmount one, there is like a small adventure, or there's starters for adventures, but not an actual full-on kind of thing. But it's pretty cool. The art is really great, as per usual. There's some similar. It looks like they got some of the same artists to do work in this that also did in the Wildmount book. But it was really cool to see descriptions and whatnot of some of the some of the cities and stuff that we've seen them in. And there is a section too of some of these some pretty cool NPCs, some boss monsters and shit like that, some pretty cool stuff like that. But there's also there's I thought this was kind of cool. There's 3 different tiers of some of the NPCs and villains that you can fight. So it's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, depending on the level of the adventurers.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And they're the
they're villains of Divergence.
Perchance, I'm not sure. I haven't really read through it a lot, but some of the monsters that you see that he introduced in the show too, the Gloomstalker, and there's a horizon-back tortoise. I'm not
Well,
sure.
the Gloomstalker is an actual ranger type.
No, this is a monster.
Oh, a monster.
It's a monstrosity, typically neutral evil.
Laughing.
There's also monastics of the Cobalt Soul.
Oh.
So that's pretty cool. You encounter monks from the Cobalt Soul. And this is a monastic high curator. But then there's an infiltrator and an operative. The Moorbounders from Zorhas.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Those creatures that they're red number 2. Occultists of the Vermilion Dream. I don't remember them. Scholars of All Sight.
Well, the Cultists of the Vermilion Dream, that's who Molly was leading, wasn't it?
Oh no, those were the Nine Eyes or something.
Well, they were the Tomb Takers and the Nine Eyes, but I thought that was the Vermilion Dream.
I didn't think so.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I remember the Vermilion Dream.
Says the Allegiance of All Sight is a scholarly faction that operates primarily within the Marquesian metropolis of Ank'Harel. Though most members of the Allegiance are academics unfamiliar with combat, the faction's field agents are skilled archaeologists who are also trained to contend with and overcome the threats that lurk in the depths of Alexandria. You know what? They might have been somebody they got some of their information from. Though.
Maybe. I remembered that.
Mm-hmm. There's also the Sword Wraiths. And then there's an appendix number 8, appendix B are magic items that are all Viridium stuff.
Text this to Calidome.
My phone just went off again.
Yeah. Text that to
who? Yeah, one-shot magic items, or magic items that and that use Viridium. I can't remember what Viridium was, but I think it's some sort of element or mineral that enhances magic. I'm not sure. So anyway, there's also a huge pull-out map of Ank'Harel.
Oh, cool.
Back too. Yeah, looks pretty goddamn big. So anyway,
Sweet.
you guys want to check it out? This is the latest published book from TSR. I almost said TSR. From
showing your age there, man.
Yeah, no kidding. From Wizards of the Coast, D&D official.
Well, I also picked up a new book this week. I picked up this one, The Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Ghost of Saltmarsh. Now that's not a new one.
No,
it's been around for a bit.
It's been around for a little bit, but one of the reasons I picked it up was because of the rules that it has for sailing and things like that, and which I didn't have when you guys actually sailed to Greyhawk. So I wanted to get that kind of thing along with some info on the ships and things like that. What I didn't realize, and I knew that this was a collection of adventures. It's kind of like the Tales from the Yawning Portal. They took a bunch of old adventures and put them together in one book, where you could go from one to the other. This actually goes back to. This actually has 7 old modules from back in the old days that have been updated for 5th edition, ranging from 1981 all the way up to 2005.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So the first 3 are from 81, 83, and 84, I think it is, something like that. And it's basically the Saltmarsh trilogy. I don't remember which letters and numbers they were. But when you think about it at that time, that's World of Greyhawk.
Yeah.
They left this in the World of Greyhawk. This is the only published World of Greyhawk book, reference book, that they have out right now. And when I found that out, I'm like, oh, I love this even more. But yeah, it actually even it goes into what's going on in Saltmarsh. It has a map of Saltmarsh. It has a bunch of different things about Saltmarsh and Keeland, and this is all in an area that is just to the west of where you guys are from. Okay. So Keeland borders up against the Duchy of Ernst on the western side.
Fucking cool. That's awesome. It's awesome to see that that's still out there.
So yeah, I'm super jazzed. I just started reading it about about some of the different factions that are in Saltmarsh and what's going on and what the politics are, and I'm reading about different locations now, and like they haven't there's a tavern called the Snapping Line.
Okay.
It's all fish and stuff related. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
So. Snapping Line.
Yeah.
Renee loves that stuff. Klimbrum doesn't know jack shit about being on the sea. So like how Rich loves World War II history and like ancient Chinese history, I'm nautical history of like Great Britain and pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah.
You should
multiple books I have in the library about that subject.
Next time Scott Mullen comes into town, you should talk to him about it. He is he's like an expert on pirate history.
Nice.
Yeah,
I would not really describe myself as an expert, but I've definitely read multiple books and fascinated by that subject.
Very much. Like, I mean, like he could do like presentations just on the history of pirates, and it's funny how he always talks about. He goes, people always like romanticize pirates. They were awful.
Yeah, no, they were terrible.
Fucking awful people. Yep. You know.
So so this has
that's kind of why everybody at the Renaissance Festival wants to be a pirate captain.
Right.
You know, the lowly swabby.
Speaking of the new show, Taika's new show on HBO Max, I haven't watched it yet, but it's getting really good reviews. People are saying it's pretty funny.
It's all right so far.
Yeah, we've only watched the first 3 episodes, but it's like it's not top on my list right now. It's What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like What We Do in the Shadows, how the first couple episodes are kind of rough, but we know how good it is. So you can just kind of power through those first 5 episodes when the show really finds its own.
Yeah.
I see the potential for this show.
Okay.
Like the characters are actually like coming into their own. Like the 3rd episode, bar none the best, where they're like you're actually like getting to know these characters a little bit much, or a lot better. Like it has potential. So I still plan on watching it. But
it's still on my list.
With What We Do in the Shadows, I feel like that's still like way better.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that show, you're right, it did start off like the first 1 or 2 episodes is a little rough.
Yeah, but a little rough. Yeah,
but by the middle of the first season, they hit their stride and they're like, oh my god, this is so good.
But with what we
Um,
do in the shadows, like in the second episode, they had like one of the single best jokes, and you're like, all right, this is going to be a great show, and so it's like a sad ejaculation, yeah, which is just hysterical, and
Yeah.
we still make fun of that joke.
But we're getting off on a
Yeah.
tangent there.
Of course, like we do.
the-
Just saying.
The Ghost of Salt Marsh
Pirates.
is set up to do. There are the 7 modules. They'll take you from 1st through 12th level if you want to run all of them, and they're all nautical themed. They're either in and around Salt Marsh itself, or they're actually out on or under. It says the high seas. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that area and that region.
Hmm.
Cool, man.
Yeah, if we ever
Does
do
that-
that, I'm not playing a dwarf.
Does that mean, Chris, that you have plans for the Tavern Knights to
Think like rocks.
go out on the ocean?
Well, you've already been out in the
Well,
ocean
yeah.
once.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, like for a longer stretch.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Now you guys might sail from place to place, but I don't really have an extended. I don't have a but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think Matt planned for the cast of Critical Role to be out on the ocean as long as they were.
On the Ball Eater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Ball Eater. Um,
Ball Eater.
So one of the other things that happened that we did in the last game was I introduced a new homebrew rule. And this was actually thanks to Bob. He actually sent me a link to someone that was talking, that was a thing that was talking about it. And it's, what is your one homebrew rule that you use in every game that you think everyone should know about? And I thought it was actually a really cool idea. And I really wanted to bring it in to give it a try, at least to try it out, see how things worked. I just realized that something is wrong there. Oh. Sorry, something is showing that I don't know what it is. Let's see if I can just find it, and there it is. Turn that off. Okay. Sorry, it was looking really bad. Anyway, they so what it is it was someone that said that the rule that they use is that if a spellcaster is out of spell slots, they can still cast a spell at the cost of 1 level of exhaustion per level of spell. And I thought that was really cool. That means that unless you want to die, you can't cast anything higher than 5th level. And if you do cast 5th level, it means that you're just a lump anyway. And with the fact that you only lose 1 level of exhaustion per long rest, that could be one of those things where, okay, Octavian's out of spells, but Marikaris just dropped and failed his last death save. He's got 1 minute. 1 minute. He casts Revivify. He can cast Revivify, but he's got no spell slots at 3rd or higher. So, boom, he casts Revivify at 3rd level and takes 3 levels of exhaustion to do it by using his own life force, basically, to cast that spell.
No, I think it was a good idea. I think it's a great kind of last ditch kind of thing.
Absolutely, and it kind of gives us a little bit of a different way of planning our, the spellcasters' slots moving forward too, because I'm guessing that Octavian, he always will have a 3rd level open.
He does. He always saves one.
Yeah, he said that he always has that 3rd level spell saved because he doesn't ever want to be caught without being able to cast Revivify. So this gives him the option of using that 3rd level spell slot at the cost of possibly having him be exhausted for 3 days.
And either that could be a risk that you may have to take if we're going up against something really big and he's casting like a cantrip instead of using a 3rd level or higher because he wants to save it as a just in case one of us goes down and he can possibly do something more to change the odds in our favor, well, like then he can. It gives him that. It gives us that option to be able to do something like that beyond the other means that we may have, such as like Ring of Spell Storing or whatnot. But no, I think it was a really good one. So it allows me to do the same thing of I can hold off, not worry about saving certain spell slots in case if like something else might be coming along around the corner after this current battle.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like it.
Well, where it gets dangerous is for casters like warlocks who have limited spell slots as it is, and they can only cast at their highest level.
Yeah, and I think they only get like 2, right?
They get 2. I think they might get 3 eventually, but they only have a couple spell slots. They don't really have a lot of spells.
Yeah, but they also have the strongest cantrips. Like Eldritch Blast is if you think for a cantrip with a D10, and then you
It's
get
the same as
D10.
it's the same as a firebolt.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Firebolt is a D10. I thought it was a D8.
Yeah, it's a D. No, it's a D10.
D10.
Oh wow.
The one difference is that I think Eldritch Blast you can split up into 2 individual attacks to multiple targets, right?
Nope. Only once you get a second blast.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh.
At 17th level, they get 4 spell slots.
Okay, they have 4 at 17.
Yeah.
Their big advantage is on a short rest, they get them all back.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But like my
warlocks do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
short rest, all spell slots back.
But I mean, you think about it, you only get 4 spell slots at 17th level, so you're like stuck at 2 forever.
Wait, but for like warlocks only get only get
2 spell slots.
2 spell slots? Like
For a long time, they go up to 4 at 17th level. I'm sure they get 3 probably around level 11.
Like,
I would
11.
guess.
Yeah, level 11.
slots per level though? I mean,
No.
I'm looking it up.
They get
what do you mean?
4.
They have 2 spell slots until 10th level.
Yeah.
Till 11th
Yeah.
level.
That's
2.
What's
Yeah.
the fucking point then of
Because
having...
a short rest gives them back, and they have all their other special
Yeah.
devil sight.
Yeah, they have all their
Hack stuff.
their eldritch invocations.
And
Yeah,
Eldritch Blast
I
is
just-
a cantrip, so you can
Right.
do that without expending a spell slot. I believe Hex is also it's just a bonus action. It doesn't expend a spell slot.
Right.
So like it is balanced out.
And they can they get a D8 for their hit points, so they technically can be somewhat fighters, but
they
they're
can
kind of
fight.
squishy.
Yeah, they can do
But they're
some
still
fighting.
kind of squishy fighters because they can't
Right.
use medium or heavy armor.
Boy, are they squishy fighters.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Lord
I just,
We
Shamalama
know
Ding
this
Dong.
for sure.
What's that?
Yeah, we know this for sure, don't we, Chris?
Yep.
I've never played a warlock. I really don't know that much about them. So
I haven't either, but I've played around with creating one. And I've got a concept for one. I've got actually one of the characters. I've got multiple characters that I want to play in a game someday. I've got my tiefling rogue and I've got my halfling warlock that I want to play. Micah Silver Eyes.
You are forever the DM,
I know.
I've got I had a
never
pretty
the
cool
player.
I had a pretty cool tiefling paladin character concept that I really kind of wanted to play, but I didn't really want to play him for this one. I wanted to play Marikaris. I made for this specifically, but I had he's a tiefling paladin of Torm named Kellex Maravane, and I was going to play him sort of like he was a warrior, he was a fighter, and then decided to go into become a paladin because he'd been tired of. He's like been basically a bouncer mercenary kind of type, and he had a moment of clarity, and decided to become a paladin and worship Torm and spread the good word at Torm. And I like the idea of a tiefling who's normally, tiefling are traditionally not in paladin type classes. They're they play a lot of almost everything else.
Well, their background is infernal.
Right, exactly. So playing a tiefling character that is a paladin of a good god, and I was like, it's really against form. So I thought that would be just kind of be a cool challenge.
I have a tiefling druid concept.
Sure.
That I'd love to do.
Yeah, and he was going to be a nasty looking tiefling, like the kind of tiefling like his dad was a demon. I mean, it's just like.
Well, actually, tieflings are devils.
Or devils, yeah, whatever.
Cambions are the half
demons.
Half demons, yeah.
Yeah, but he was going to look like he got a lot of that demon blood in him. That he was a real nice guy, rough and tumble kind of dude, but a real nice guy. But he like big horns and fucking.
You're glad that's on your side.
I say like the Tim Curry horns from Legend.
Well, not quite that big, but still pretty fucking and have a long fucking thick ass tail and digigrade knees and the whole the only thing that is missing, making him look like a pit fiend was big ass wings, big demon wings, and I was just like, that was my concept for him, and I even got him. I have him on D&D Beyond. It's just like badass.
Yeah, my tiefling rogue is Zendavian.
Zendavian?
Yes, Zendavian.
Cool.
You actually have that fig, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's cool.
He's a kind of a his background was going to be criminal, but it was going to be the alternate spy criminal background. So he was going to actually be a spy rogue.
Cool.
So.
Nice.
I like the concept. I mean, we're getting away from what we've done, but what we've been talking about. But I was in a shorter lived game for a while where it was a pirate. It was a pirate themed game where we were privateers essentially, and it was pretty cool in that we all had to basically took one level of rogue because all of us our first level was rogue. Because we all had to have we were all swashbucklers. We were all some kind of pirate. So even though one of us was a cleric and one of us was a fighter and one of us, was a mage, all these other things, we all had our first level was rogue so that we could essentially establish that we were pirates.
That would be an interesting concept for the start of a campaign. Like everyone start off as a rogue at level 1, and then by level 2 you start doing the branching off,
right?
Or anything really. You could do the same thing with monks. Everyone starts off as you're all members of a monastery. You all have one level of monk. Where you go after that is up to you.
I think it's a really cool idea.
Concept. I like that too. Yeah,
I had an idea of where everybody was playing, they were playing a special attachment of the King's Guard, and so everybody had to take one level of fighter class, and then after that then you moved up to something else because you were all at least some kind of guard for the king, and then then it became some sort of special forces essentially, or SWAT team.
There is a podcast called Bombardment where everyone is a bard.
No.
Yep.
No.
Fantastic, man.
No.
Yes, they all have 1 or 2 levels in bard. And everyone who plays, they actually play in a band. So, they actually, the players themselves really just have a really good job. Yeah, they are. They're all musicians, and they're in the same band together.
Now, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, so, they feed off of one another really well. There's really good chemistry.
Well, yeah, I mean,
literally, the wizard literally just sings the stats of the spell. And it's hysterical.
I think that sounds pretty cool. I mean, people that are in a band are already usually pretty good friends, or they're all working together really closely. So for them to be in a D&D game together would be pretty fucking cool.
And they're all bard. It's so funny.
Speaking of bards, our ex-bard, the one Ian who had to
he'll always
leave.
Be our bard.
Yeah, he will always be our bard. Yes, Phelan, who is currently just missing.
Yep.
Sent Renee a message saying that this is all Chris's fault, that he is now taking lessons
Oh, right.
On what is it? Playing a
On the
cittern?
cittern.
Yeah, playing
Yep.
a
The
cittern.
cittern, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually bought a cittern. I didn't have to like send it back or something because it was like shitty or something like that, or I don't
I don't
know.
recall that.
I think I saw him make a post something about how
Mm.
it was he got something, he had to send it back because he couldn't even play it or something like that.
I know his he had to do that with like his oog, which is a different instrument that's in that same realm. It's like a Turkish instrument.
An oog?
Something like that. Or an oog. I don't remember. It's been a while.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. It's
been a while.
That was,
we saw that on Friday as well. On that same Friday. So I'm really looking forward.
Okay, yeah, he had to file something down on it to make it playable.
Alrighty.
But yeah,
Sorry,
so
that's what I'm talking about. So
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do this Friday and what's going to happen. I will say this: Klimbrum did something I hadn't seen her do before. She stopped the pursuit. She started chasing after someone. The guy disappeared, and she just said, "Nope, I'm going back to the party."
Imagine that.
It hurt my soul.
Yeah, that would have. Because didn't they go through like a secret door?
Yeah, and then it closed behind them, and the only reason why she stopped was because she was hurt as fuck.
And you would have been going right into a trap, most likely.
She doesn't give a fuck about that.
Well, that's the thing. So
Klimbrum.
you don't actually know that it's a secret door. You just assume it was because you saw no other exits out of that room.
Yeah.
I thought that we saw something open.
Nope.
No, she saw the door to the.
Oh no, she saw an opening. She would have gone right through it.
Yes, she saw the
sealed.
opening up on the balcony. You guys saw that open as as someone else came out, and then that person ran back in.
Yeah, that's what I went through.
Yeah,
but when I got to the bottom of that staircase, everything was sealed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She didn't see another room.
Yeah.
She saw no exits out of that room.
Hurt my soul.
But we just didn't have enough time to. That's where we stopped, and soon after, and we didn't have time to investigate that.
She's made that mistake before, so she did learn.
You're showing growth as a character.
Because Lauka's voice was ringing in her head of, "What did you do?"
That's called character development.
Mistakes were made. Fucking flame salamander. Yeah. It hurt me inside, everyone. It hurt me inside. Stop.
Well, it is.
But
still
she's
good.
also not smart enough to really find the next door. And also, she was hurt as fuck. Yeah, I mean, she's pretty clever, but
well, and that's the thing. So this
she was feeling about 24%.
So that fight actually did do some damage to you guys. To some of you.
Yeah, it really did.
Some of you are all right, but some were hurt pretty bad.
I think I was the only one who dropped.
Yes, you're the only one that dropped. I took some hits
due to a crit.
Yeah, I took some hits. I was doing my job, absorbing the damage and shit. But thanks to
and Cleric doing his job.
Yeah,
bumping you back up.
Bumping me back up.
I mean, I was good, but then I had like 36 points of damage done to me in a single round due to a crit.
Well, and the thing is, Rich has run through at least 2 of his channel divinities.
Yep.
I don't know if he's got 2 or 3 now.
I don't remember. But he did go through 2 because he bumped up Marikaris up 40 twice and himself up 13, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely did that. I mean, I don't know. So that's the drag, that's the thing. We end up gonna be in, after some of these big fights, we're gonna have to take at least short rests, if not long rests. And it's one of those things about D&D. It's like you end up being in a dungeon for like 3 years because you got to take a rest after. You got to take a long rest after every fucking big fight. and all of a sudden
Well,
you're,
I mean, you would as a human too, like in real
sure,
life.
no, it totally, it does make sense, but then you're also like, God damn, we've been in this dungeon for a long time.
Well,
How many enemies did we have?
in
That
that
was a
room,
big fight.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
you
room
had
was at least 6, wasn't it?
there were 4,
There were
3.
3 on the ledge.
Well, and then a 4th one came up, so there
Yeah.
were 4 up there.
And then there were like 2 or 3 on the floor.
There were 2 on the floor plus the big guy plus the 2 wolves.
Right. So there was a lot in that fight,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't the
9?
first fight either. We had because we had that.
Well, it was your
fight,
it was your first fight of the day.
Yeah, it was the first fight of the day. But I mean, the session, it was like our second or third.
Second, yeah.
Second, because we opened the show. We opened the game that session with a fight.
Yeah, against 3 ogre zombies and a cleric of Nerul.
Yes.
Yeah, which we didn't have a chance to like question because it just got pummeled all at once when that cleric dropped.
We did.
Yeah,
we did. That could have been a much. I was worried. I was worried that because you left that on such a cliffhanger the time before, and I'm like, fuck, this could be a nasty fucking fight. And it's still, it wasn't easy or anything by any stretch, but we did a pretty good job taking those guys down.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We coordinated well.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
We did. But that's the thing. Whenever we go up against undead, or particularly undead, but undead and like infernal stuff, we definitely have. I'm not gonna say an advantage, but we do have 2 people in our party that are built to take down undead.
Yep.
For sure. So it definitely helps.
Mm-hmm. Well, then you got
major bonuses.
You got Grimbolt, who just pew pew pow.
Yeah.
Hey, I went through almost a whole case of bolts during that hobgoblin fight. I think I have 1 left in that case.
There were a lot, yes. And
it was a long fight.
Yeah, I do remember. Sorry. I do remember Grimbolt basically you made like the point of like you never moved, you just stood in a corner shooting the entire hobgoblin fight. Didn't you?
I don't even think Grimbolt took a hit.
No.
I didn't move from the elevator.
Yeah, that was it.
Most fights, I just plant myself somewhere and just go to town. I'm a turret.
Yeah.
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 Did you even take a hit?
Sniper.
Nope. Not a 1. They shot at me once in the very beginning. And missed with both arrows.
Damn.
I got hit a few times. I
think he's the only one that didn't get hit.
Yeah.
Well, they were trying to
so.
take out our casters because they're the dangerous ones.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean,
actually,
over time, I'm dangerous.
I don't think Halt got hit either.
I don't think Halt got hit. Yeah, because Halt climbed up to the ceiling.
Oh,
right.
I was just taking little pot shots.
Yeah, her new tactic. Climb up the wall and shoot.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
I like how Alex is now starting to get more comfortable and starting to like find her own flavor of her character.
Yeah, and really like find her character. Yeah.
Just getting there. Just getting there a little bit.
I mean, she's got what, 10 sessions under her belt now?
Yeah.
Not quite.
Not even.
Not even.
She's
4,
she's
5.
been maybe at 5.
Yeah. Because she joined the show in November, but she's missed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But she's starting to warm up to it and stuff, and it is kind of funny to watch like a brand new player how we kind of constantly, which die do I roll? It's the 20-sided. It's the one you roll every time for initiative. Oh, that's yeah.
Well, I remember that's where Rich, Renee, and I were.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely
ago.
something. It's definitely something you see in.
Unlike myself, Pete and Rich, like we all watched like crit roll, and we did some like we reread about D&D at least a little bit. Like Rich read the player's handbook cover to cover at least twice before we started playing.
That's true.
And started reading the history of Greyhawk because he's a history nerd and that's just what he does.
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, no, he hyperfixates on it. Like that's how Rich is wired. He loves maths. He loves the history. He's a history major. Like that's his jam.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, shit, you can throw out any date that happened during World War II, and he'll tell you what battles happened where, both Germany and Japan. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like he's impressive. And so like he read the player's handbook cover to cover. I had my experience with D&D, and frankly, just being married to Chris and him telling me stuff about his D&D games picked up quite a bit. Yeah, it was 3rd edition or 3.5, but still I picked up quite a bit. Alexandra is coming from nothing.
Zero.
Zero. Never watched an episode of Crit Row. Never. The bulk of her experience was is listening to a different D&D podcast that's on YouTube, but she had only just started listening to that maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the game.
Okay.
And she didn't watch it, she listened to it.
Okay.
And the main reason why she picked the class that she's playing is because that player always did the same 2 things: bonus action hide and then attack. She's like, I can do that. So she tried to keep it simple for herself, which I can absolutely respect. Like Klimbrum does like 4 things: pop, pop, bonus action, pop, pop.
Stunning strike.
Stunning strike.
Well, it is definitely one of those things that I have always recommended new players never play a spellcasting class if you can avoid it for your first.
See, I immediately was drawn.
And you immediately,
I was immediately like, I'm a numbers guy. I like the math.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going in and like you remember the time that I made Vialis like go to sleep. You know. I was originally planning on trying to do that against the hags originally. That's where I got the idea from. I'm going into like math calculators and trying to find like what the mean average is per spell level. So that way I can get an idea of like, all right, if I cast this at 4th level, there's a good chance that I can like get about like 45 to 50 HP. And if they're like HPs around there, I can have them drop, right? You know, like I'm all about like those type of numbers and the statistics behind it.
You're such an engineer. I love it. But at the same time, like growing up, like while we were growing up and we played video games, usually you were drawn to casters. Rich was usually drawn to a cleric-like cast or class, and I was usually drawn to a fighter-like class.
Right.
Like that's just what we've always been drawn to.
That's cool. And you know, the funny thing is too, is ultimately like that was the advice I used to give people, you know, playing 2nd edition or 3rd edition or Pathfinder even. But I mean, honestly, since the creation of Pathfinder, it's not, you know, it's not like fighters and or fighter classes are so much more simpler now just because they don't have spells.
No, they're fucking complex now.
Right, because of all the feats and all the different things that you can do, and then you throw like magic items in that have different effects and stuff and whatnot. Fighters can be just as complex as as a you know, a magic using class, a mage or a cleric or whatever. I mean, hell, they used to say, well, clerics are a lot simpler than mages as well, and that's totally not the case anymore. You know, like I said, you mix in a lot of
what is it? What is it called?
And everything.
Orem on Critical Role. You know, like you didn't really like
Battle Master.
Yeah, he's a battle master. Yeah.
But he's a what?
Like,
battle master.
He gets those like specialty die. What are they called?
Superiority dice.
Those dice. Like that's like a whole complex system for the fighter class there.
It's part of part of the battle master thing. They get maneuvers that they can do. And you can add superiority dice to damage and things like that when you do a maneuver.
It's actually something that they've added. I mean, there seems to be a little something like that in a lot of classes like that. You know, you've got sorcery points if you're a sorcerer. You've got key points. As a you know, as a monk. Paladins have smites. It's a little more.
Well, yeah, those are tied to spells though. So
right, those are tied. They're tied to spell levels, but almost it does seem like a lot of these different, particularly the subclasses of them.
Speaking of spells, something that we need to remember to do that we have not been doing is that when you cast Armor of Faith, you need a concentration tag. That is a concentration spell.
Well, my bad. I didn't realize.
Oh shit.
I was just looking at it the other day and I went, that's a fucking concentration spell. Motherfucker hasn't been concentrating at all.
You got away with it for 2 years.
He's the one taking all the damage.
I didn't even. I must have slipped my mind. I thought it was like
So yeah, every time he gets hit, then he's gonna have to.
He's gonna have to make a concentration check. Yep.
Okay, I was gonna say like he's not casting anything else that would have concentration that would negate it. Very much, I wouldn't think. But yeah, every time he takes damage, that would make sense. Yeah.
I actually, Marikaris doesn't utilize his spells all that much. I generally save
smite.
I save them for smite things. During rests and stuff like that, or resting for the night, he might cast some healing, or if he has to resummon, like Clamor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, he doesn't cast a whole lot.
You haven't really utilized a whole lot. Like, I can think of one time that you used Healing Hands.
Well,
that's not even a spell.
No, I still use my my healing. Maybe about a third of the time that we're fighting, I'll use some kind of healing, some of my healing stuff, because I have my healing pool, which goes up 5 points every level, and then I have, and then I also have Healing Hands, which is like a one-shot spell. This is how many spell levels, kind of 1 point per spell level. But for the most part, Octavian's does so much with the healing that I don't honestly have to use it as much as, because I've got, I think, 30 points of healing, or it might be 40.
If it's 5 per level, it's 40.
Yeah.
At what level you're at now.
Mm-hmm. And I have had to use it. I did use Lesser Resto a couple of times recently. And
you've used a Cure Disease once.
Yeah. And that's the thing, using.
Don't you have to use it on Phelan at least once or twice?
Curing disease.
Maybe in the background.
Yeah. Curing disease, but not. Yeah, I think I did as well.
It's too embarrassed to go to Octavian because Octavian told him so.
Yeah, and Marikaris is a little bit of a
player.
Not a little bit of a player, not as bad as maybe Klimbrum or.
Hey. He's got a type. There at least has been consistency. Lauka was frankly the outlier in that. And Cindy started that.
Sorry, my house.
Oh no.
You're good. What the hell is that going on? Yeah, I wrote it in that Marikaris is sweet. His weak point is a pretty face, but then when Phelan was doing it so much, and you were also, going to the pub a lot, I was like, you know what, I'm going to back off on that character trait a little bit. Maybe when we get the opportunity, we might see it again crop up here and there.
After the night that you and Phelan switched partners.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
back
God
on the ship, right?
What's that?
That was back on the ship, right? Where you?
No, that
was way before.
No, that was in the pub. That one night.
It was myself and Lauka were sleeping with the drow.
I could have sworn that the tiefling on the ship was kind of like bouncing between you and Phelan.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
but no, I was talking about the night that they both hooked up with somebody and woke up with the other one.
Yeah. I forgot
that
about that.
I think that was with Elsa and whoever the other one was.
Yeah. That's totally what happened. It was pretty.
I do keep a list.
Gosh.
Yep. Of course I keep a list. I track everything.
No. Elsa's the only one that like caused a point of exhaustion for a long time.
Yep.
It was only one day, but it was
That-
three
Yeah, but it was two
sessions.
sessions.
Yeah, 2 sessions.
And that made a difference.
It did. It did.
So Chris, getting back to the game, you know, you kind of threw something in the last game that kind of like, you know, was a like kind of like a big narrative one that, you know, I felt like we kind of overlooked and we haven't really discussed, but you know, you kind of threw out there that when Raslam contacted us, there was like the hint that we're not even in the right tower for our main like overall arcing story of looking for you know, the next step to find the next you know, clue to, is it the staff that we're looking for now?
Yeah, you're looking for the staff. Well, you're specifically looking for a book.
But we're like will like maybe tell us where the location of the staff is, but it's most likely, you said, not in the war tower, which means that we either have to find like some sort of secret entrance to one of the other 2 towers, or we're going to have to find a way to get into the other towers somehow, because I think you also mentioned that those entrances are like collapsed or inaccessible.
Yeah, there's no known entrance into the Tower of Zagig, and the Tower of Magic is sealed off by the priests of Zagig.
Yeah. So we're going to have to, there might be some work getting into some of these.
And we're going to have to come back unless if we find some sort of secret entrance where we're currently at, because we're pretty deep down in the war tower, if they're even connected at all. I don't know how close are these towers to one another.
They were built on 3 hills, so they're not too far apart. I mean, they're a few hundred feet.
Do we have any idea if they are connected underneath, or we just have no idea?
You have no idea.
Okay, so we may have to like do what we're doing here, come out, and we're spending more time in Greyhawk and finding another way to get into one of the other 2 towers to be able to do our main quest, because that's, you know, what we've been waiting for that kind of this whole time was the next clue, and we're going to be coming back here obviously in some fashion.
Well, one of the things that is also something that it depends on the group, and it's interesting to see how a group dynamic works. And most of the groups that I've ever seen never do this, but whenever you read modules and stuff, and they talk about how, well, the group can, you know, go in and then leave, go back to town, and then come back. I'm like, nobody does that. Nobody does that. They go in and they stay in until they either die or they finish the adventure.
Yep. I cannot express how badly I did not want to go back to Greyhawk.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us
broke our wizard.
I don't think any of us did.
I mean,
but the Greyhawk is only less than a day's travel, though, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we would have to like say like we're going back to Phandalin or something like that, and then back to Greyhawk.
We would have dropped your butt off at those stores and be like, watch him, and we would have gone back inside.
It's a day's travel, so I mean, like we could in game we could make it work if we had to, like, especially if we had nothing to go on. But you know, we really didn't really discuss it when in the game last week or 2 weeks ago, that, you know, that's a pretty big you know, point to, you know, we're in the wrong place for that particular you know, thing that we're looking for. Sure, the other 2 might be down here, the sword, and we're looking for that other book, but or like the Sword of Chaos and the book for Merrick Harris's like sword that we're trying to get.
What's his face, Borislav.
But for our overall main quest, which is really what we should be focused on in the long run, you know, we have to find another means of getting into one of the other towers.
Well, I feel like we're probably going to find it. You know, like, my bet is that there will be some way to get into those other towers. I mean, I'm not sure, but that's my guess. we shall see. There's still a lot to fucking do, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
You know,
We're not leaving anytime soon, but
Nope.
But
we're
I'm
gonna be
liking
doing
this.
this for quite a while.
but no, but still, I'm liking this. I'm liking the dungeon delving. It's been a lot of fun. It's
I promise I'm not going to take you to Dungeon Land, though.
Aw.
what's that?
That's the goofy version of
Oh,
Castle
you said
Greyhawk, where there's
Oh,
all
yeah,
sorts of
you
pop
mentioned
culture
that.
references, things like that.
You said there's like
It's-
a Muppets level or whatnot.
Well, yeah,
right?
I don't remember that one, but there may have
I
been.
think there is,
There's
and
a lot
there's-
of Alice in Wonderland.
I feel like you would
Dungeon
need to update that. That needs to like be updated every 5 years.
Well, and that's the thing. So Dungeon Land is a pocket dimension that was created by Zagig. This is something you guys don't know, but it was actually a pocket dimension that he created, and the only known entrance is actually in the caverns under Castle Greyhawk.
Cool.
And actually, in this adventure, there is a section where you would go to Dungeon Land in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's mostly so there were two adventures back in the day. It was Dungeon Land and Through the Looking Glass. And it's very much Alice in Wonderland themed. You follow the white hare, you meet the Queen of Hearts, you meet the caterpillar, you meet the Cheshire Cat, you meet the walrus and the carpenter, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You meet all of those characters in those adventures.
But you said it's more satire, comedic.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Rather than like serious. So I guess like is that like particular, like I guess like back in the original days, like would you have to like do that module? Like I guess how would you integrate that into an overall story then? Like would you actually do it in more comedic setting on purpose, or would it be more of like a temporary, like, you know, not exactly a one shot, but like I don't know, it seems like it would completely set a different tone for your campaign.
Well, and that's the thing. It wasn't a full campaign. It would have been a part of the campaign, kind of like what you guys are doing now.
Yeah.
It would be like a subset of adventures.
But that's a pretty big drastic change in
Well, and
tone,
that's the thing, though. I mean, the whole idea is again the Castle Greyhawk, where Dungeon Land or whatever was part of, was still made by a mad mage, and you just write it off as magic, man.
Okay.
It's very goofy. There was an entire section of the dungeon that was patterned after Marvel characters. So you saw a rock elemental that just called himself that ting, I'm that ting, and he'd say things like, it's just clobbering time, like he was the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and I think a clay golem or something that was green, and he was the Incredible Bulk, and things like that. I mean, so a Drider that was patterned after Spider-Man. He was the Incredible Drider Man, or the Amazing Drider Man, or whatever it was. It was very silly and it was very funny. There's an entire dungeon that had.
But when
Muppets
you're
in it.
10, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It was also very
So
hard, though, too.
the
It's not
Dungeon
like
Land module, which was by E. Gary Gygax, it's a first edition module for characters between the levels of 9 and 12. This adventure occurs near the city of Greyhawk, but can also be used for other settings. The module is heavily based on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and suggests that the demiplane the characters fall into is the very same Wonderland Alice visited.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So yeah, and then the second one was The Land Beyond the Magic Mirror. But yeah, I mean, they came up with a lot of there were a lot of creatures that came out of that too, like some weird stuff, like the Executioner's Hood, which was basically like it would identify as a magical hood. You put it on, and it actually would suffocate you. It was a creature.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, is that another version of the Bag of Devouring?
No, it was more like a kind of a cloaker. like a small cloaker.
Okay.
Oh, the Deck of Illusions and the Hat of Disguise came out of that too.
Oh, the Deck of Illusions, huh? That's
Mhm.
pretty fun.
So yeah, but yeah, it was an interesting thing at the time. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about real quick here is the latest book that D&D is putting out, or Wizards of the Coast is putting out, which is the Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. They just announced this book last week.
Yeah, you
it-
talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked about it last week, I think, on Nerds.
Yeah, and basically the idea is that this is another book like the Candlekeep Mysteries, where it is
Oh, great.
13 adventures in one book for characters between the levels of 1 and 14.
Oh, perfect.
And basically what it is the Radiant Citadel is a location in the ethereal plane. So it's actually on another plane. And travelers from across the multiverse flock to this mysterious bastion to share their traditions, stories, and calls for heroes. A crossroads of wonder and adventure, the Radiant Citadel is the first step on the path to legend. 13 new standalone adventures. It introduces the Radiant Citadel, a new location on the ethereal plane that connects adventures to richly detailed and distinct corners of the D&D multiverse. Each adventure can be dropped into any existing Dungeons & Dragons campaign setting or on worlds of your own design. There are 11 new D&D monsters, and there's a story for every adventuring party, from whimsical and light to dark and foreboding and everything in between, it says.
Oh, that's very cool. So, like you
Cool.
said, it is a lot like Candlekeep, and like the one that you ran with the Book of Sarah. Honestly, I think that was a huge win for us. I think that was like a great side quest that our group was working on for quite a while,
Long time.
and and it always kept eating away at us, keeping us interested, trying to as a part of our main quest, trying to get more information on, keep us interested, but every now and then giving us a little bit more as we got closer and closer to where we needed to go until we got to Greyhawk, and then and had a really great battle with an epic conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That was
you-
very
and-
satisfying to bring that to a completion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
the thing. It was a big win for you guys. It was a big conclusion, and it got the party watching Euchariah for sprouting tentacles.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Sure did.
Yeah, watch this guy, man. He's dangerous.
And then what I think's funny is that he casts Ever's tentacles at one point, and everybody's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!"
Right.
Which he's always had.
I know.
But we don't know that.
That's true, because that was
Yeah.
the first time I ever had a chance
Yep.
to cast it. So, which makes for interesting, storytelling and lore. I like it. you
Yeah.
know. But but just the fact that you took that, that particular story, and you're able to just plop it in, and it's not like we just focused solely on that
Mm-hmm.
for a particular time. You're able to integrate it. We were able to do it part of the main quest, but follow up with it as time progressed, and as we got closer and closer to Greyhawk, and we got more and more answers, and then we were able to actually get to a spot where we can pursue actual action to be able to see be able to try and resolve it, and then come to a really great conclusion. I thought that was very well done. It easily flowed into it. I think that you integrated it very well, and whether it's more from the current modules of Candlekeep or this new one, I hope that we see more of those side quests that we can continue on, or if there's any options for that, because I thought that went really well. I think I had a lot of fun with it, and I think that everyone else really enjoyed it as well.
My only thing with this one is I don't plan on bringing in the multiverse at all into this campaign, just
Is
because
it the multiverse? I thought you said it was just the like another realm that's already in existence.
Well, it is, but that's the thing. The Radiant Citadel it's on the ethereal plane, so you actually have to start plane hopping. And from there, that's what they say is it's the crossroads for the multiverse, the D&D multiverse. So from there, from the ethereal plane, you can get from Greyhawk to Forgotten Realms, or to Krynn, or to Eberron, or to Strixhaven, to any of those worlds that are out there. Even to some of the old worlds, probably like Dark Sun and things like that.
Okay.
It's another thing that's what they would do in Spelljammer is I believe they would actually fly through the ethereal plane, and travel from realm to realm, which is kind of like space. Ethereal plane is a lot like space. It's the ghost plane, really. The astral plane is actually like space. I think is more like what it is, but yeah, it gets into plane hopping, and that's not, well, at least not yet. I mean, you guys might do some later, but
we haven't done anything like that.
Right. That's much farther down the road. I mean, you guys are 8th level right now. That's much farther. We'll see what happens.
Now, is that just you, or is that just like in general? Because you said that it goes from like 1st to 14th or 1st to 12th.
This one goes 1 through 14, yeah.
So we could have a campaign where that's just something that just is there from the very beginning. It's just not your particular world.
It's not what I want for this campaign.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was going.
Am I going to get this book? Probably, because it's a bunch of adventures. So, I mean, I think that's kind of cool. I can see what I can do to use them, for different things. But yeah, as far as this isn't set to be like a campaign. This isn't like you're going to go from 1st through 14th level doing this. This is just a bunch of separate adventures for characters of those various levels, just like Candlekeep is.
Yeah.
Whereas Ghost Saltmarsh is set up to actually where you can play each one of those one right after the other. Same thing with Tales from the Yawning Portal. Those are a bunch of adventures that if you're in Forgotten Realms, you can actually play one right after the other. And I've used some of those in other adventures, or in other campaigns. Actually, I used one of them in this campaign from that.
Interesting. Okay.
Actually, Stone'tooth was actually based on the Forge of Fury module from Tales from the Yawning Portal. I used the maps from that and the general layout, but I put my stuff in it.
Yeah, because you did mention that in Stone'tooth, like our big fight before the dragon, where we actually fought like the cult of Orcust.
Yeah,
that was all you. You mentioned, you made sure to make sure that was known, that was like something that we found out like after the succubus, and we found like that secret passage, and then there's that whole area. That was all like completely homebrewed, like story driven by you, right?
Yep. And that was to introduce something that you guys might see later.
I have no doubts. He's on the list. With 3 other fucks that got away.
I'm sure there's more than 3.
She's got a list, guys.
I
She's
think
got
there's
a
only
list.
4. But it seems like so many.
Well, there's
A list of
Glassstaff.
people that got away.
There's
What's the list that got
Glassstaff.
away?
Hold on, let me grab it.
Glassstaff. The very first one was probably that was one of the rough ones.
Oh, Glassstaff.
That's just because we were all noobs and we were too afraid to do anything.
By the time we run into Glassstaff again, he's going to be like 18th level and kicking our ass.
Nope, not that one. Where'd my little piece of paper go? I write everything down.
There's Glassstaff. There's the farts. So there's the priest of Orcust.
That's the other campaign.
Yeah, so there's Glassstaff, there's Graynor, who is the Orcus guy.
Yeah.
And the succubus. And
she was grouped in.
Yeah, the drow that turned into a gaseous form.
The fart.
Yep, the fart.
And the dust cags.
And the
dust cags, yep. 40 years.
40 years.
Is there anyone else?
That's like a couple of months to maybe like 5 years to a dwarf. That's not, 40 years to a human, maybe a long time.
I don't know where it went, and I'm sad.
I'm sure you'll find it.
Sure, there's like one or maybe two more. You let a lot go. I felt a lot got away. That's why.
You want to know who didn't get away? Those poor fucks in the forest.
No, you know who didn't get away?
I literally ran one down.
The black spider.
Yeah.
Who barely got a word in before I vaporized him.
You want to know what makes me sad? It's the fact that I missed that because I ran up to use the ladies' room and I came down and he was dead.
Yeah.
I almost did like a whole Obi-Wan thing where he just went.
That would have been hilarious.
But that's why I feel like the book of Sarah, when we did fought Vialis and got that conclusion of the book of Sarah, was like so satisfying because it was like one of like our biggest wins that we saw. Like
it was our first one.
Full conclusion.
Well, and then no, those are that's all my stuff, honey.
Yeah, that's your stuff. It came from this notepad, but it's a single sheet that I ripped out.
Well,
but yeah, so
it's in this corner. I just don't know where. You see this corner, it's a lot. There's a lot in this corner.
There's a lot in that corner.
So
it's my reference corner.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm also looking out at all of our unpainted minis. I'm like, we need to paint
the wall
those.
of shame.
It's just so cold down here, and the paint doesn't work well when it's cold.
Mm.
Yep. So, yeah, I forgot where I was going now. But yeah, you guys have a bunch of people that have gotten away that you may run into in the future. Some maybe sooner than others.
Yeah. Another like a hint.
Right.
Well, we should probably. So what do you think,
I'm
Chris?
smiling.
We should probably start wrapping. Yeah. Whenever the DJ smiles, or whenever the DM smiles.
DM is smiling.
Chris, should we start wrapping things up?
Yeah, we should probably wrap things up.
Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. What do we got going on this Friday, Chris? 7:30.
7:30. And then we'll be back. Russ and I will be back tomorrow night with a special guest.
Yeah.
For Nerds with Alcohol.
Kevin Oman's also known as the Lich. He's a pretty prominent Twitch streamer and Discord guy. He's on, let's see, where is it? He does the Dungeon Discord channel, or the Lich's Dungeon or whatnot, and it is on Twitch. You guys might want to check that out.
Yeah, we were on a show. We were on a show about a month ago.
Yeah, it was a blast. We had a great time.
It was a good time. We played. It's a Twitch game show.
Yeah. And
Viva la Dungeon.
That's it. Viva la Dungeon. And we very much it was very kind of it was like a scaled down role-playing game, just without the role-playing. It was very combat oriented and very like it was like a board game, really.
I was the first one dead.
You were. I did get into the finale, but I did also die.
I was a dwarven glove maker.
He was. I can't remember what I was, but it was a lot of fun. And we're gonna have Kevin on. He went to GaryCon over the weekend, which is a big gaming con dedicated to Gary Gygax, or named after Gary Gygax. So it'd be cool to hear what he has to say. I want to talk to him about Twitch streaming and building a audience and all that kind of stuff. I've got plans to have a couple other Twitch streamers on that are friends, and to also, not tomorrow, but eventually, to see them and what their experiences have been being Twitch streamers and nerds too. So
that'll be cool. But yeah, that's 8:00 tomorrow night. Right here, we will be trying to start right on time and ending right about our normal time, our expected time around 9:30 or so that Kevin can get to his show, which
At
he's
10
actually
o'clock.
generously starting a little late for us,
Mhm.
so he can be on our show.
Yeah.
So yeah, join us for that. And then again, like we said, this Friday, just like it says down below, this Friday, 7:30, right here for Tavern Knights. You can see all of us again. You can watch me try and kill them and watch them foil all of my plans.
We're gonna try.
But I'm really interested to see what happens because you guys haven't looted anybody yet. You
That's right. We ended the fight and just kind of went. Oh,
yeah,
we'll come back to
because
this.
we went about 10 minutes late. Because
And your inventory keeper was already very tired.
Yes,
and she
'cause-
needed to wake up at 5 a.m. the following morning.
Yeah, you're
So-
ready to turn into a pumpkin.
well, that's the problem is that with Renee's new schedule, she has to be up at 5 a.m. the next day. So we played till midnight. And she only gets 5 hours of sleep at best.
Yeah, and it's my Tuesday, so it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Saturdays.
Tuesday
are
into
pretty
Wednesday. Yeah.
rough.
It's Tuesday into Wednesday. For
Yeah,
you.
Saturdays are hard.
All
you,
right.
right in the middle of her week. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. See you. Come on out this weekend or this Friday. Hang out with us, and I guess we'll see you then. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good one, everybody.
Good
Good night.
night.
Friday. Good night.